No, new chapter. No, it's not new chapter. Several, several examples from spirits of opinion they adopted during their physical lives concerning the soul or spirit. Several examples from spirits of opinion they adopted during their physical lives concerning the soul or spirit. In the other life, it is easy to tell what opinions others held during bodily life concerning the soul, the spirit, and life after death. When people are kept in a state like the ones they had in the body, they think the same way they did them, and their thinking is communicated as clearly as if they were talking out loud. In the case of one spirit who had departed this world not long before, I perceived, and he admitted that although he believed he would live on as a spirit, he expected to live vague. It's vague. Vague is like uncertain, foggy. Live a vague kind of life. His thinking since he located life in the body was that in physical life we were withdrawn, only a vague something or other would remain. So his picture of the spirit was like that of a ghost. The observation that brute animals too had life, almost as people do, had confirmed him in his opinion. But now he was amazed to see that spirits and angels live in the greatest possible light and in the greatest possible intelligence, wisdom, and happiness, which such keen perception that it can hardly be described. Far from living a dim kind of life, he discovered they live a clear and intensely vivid life. Intensely. Intensively. Intensely is intensively. I, I talked with another individual who during 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 or during I talked with another individual who during who during life in the world had not believed the spirit had any extension in space. On this principle, he had refused to accept any word that involved a dimension to describe the spirit. I asked him, "What do you think now? As a soul or spirit, about the fact that you possess sight, hearing, smell, sensitive touch, desires, and thoughts, so much so that you feel exactly as if you were still in your body, restricted to the physical, restricted to the picture he had formed when thinking about the subject in the world. He said, the spirit consists in thought. You once were alive in the world, I was allowed to reply. Don't you know that physical sight cannot occur without the visual organ, the eye? How can thou which is inner sight do so? Doesn't it require an organic substance in order to operate? He then acknowledged that during during the life of the body he had labored under the delusion that spirit is simply thought without any organic matter or dimension. If the soul or spirit was only thought, I added, we would have no need for a brain the size we have. Since the brain is nothing but an organ for our interior senses. Interior.
Interior.
Interior senses. If that were not its function, the skull could be hol- hollow. Hollow. Mhm. Hollowed.
Hollow.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hollow.
Hello. Like hello. Mhm. Hello. Hello. Could be hello and still provide a place for our thoughts to do the work of the spirit. This alone should have convinced you that the spirit is organic or made of organic substance. And had you considered what impressive activities result when the soul operates on the muscles, it might also have convinced you. He confessed his error and wondered how he could have been so foolish. I said further, I said further,
Further.
further. I said further that the erudite,
Erudite.
erudite, mhm,
Erudite.
erudite. I said further that the erudite fully believe the soul that lives on after death, the spirit is abstract thought. Obviously, they refuse to accept any term that involves dimension or anything implied by dimension. Thought has no extension apart from the person thinking, but the person thinking and the objects of thought do have extension. Moreover, if the objects of thought are not dimensional, people objectify them and make them three-dimensional or in order to understand them. From this it is abundantly clear that intellectuals take the soul or spirit to be nothing but pure thought. The consequence is an unalterable unalterable belief. What is it?
Unalterable.
Unalterable. It's like unchangeable, unalterable. Is an unalterable belief that the soul will vanish when they die. I spoke with some spirits about the attitude of people alive on earth today who reject belief in the spirit because they cannot see it with their eyes or grasp it scientifically. They deny not only that a spirit has dimension, but also that it has substance, because they argue about what substance is, what substance even is. And since they deny its dimensionally, dimensionality, dimensionality, dimensionality,
Dimensionality.
dimensionality. Its dimensionality. They deny its dimensionality and argue about its substantiality. Substantiality. Substantiality.
Substantiality.
Mhm. Substan-
Substantiality.
substantiality. Substantiality. Mhm. It's like strength. Substantiality. They also deny that it exists in a place or consequently in a human body. The most simple thinking people, however, can understand that their soul or spirit has its own body. When I said these things to the spirits who happened to be among the more simple thinking, they expressed their amazement that people today could be so stupid. When they heard the terminology that was being argued over parts outside of parts and so on, they called it jarring. Jarring, absurd, jarring,
Jarring.
jarring, jarring. In this sense, is like abrupt,
Abrupt.
abrupt, mhm, gusty,
Gusty.
gusty, jarring, absurd, and pretentious. Absurdity like this, absurdity,
Absurd.
absurdity, absurdity, absurd,
Absurdity.
absurd, and absurdity, and pretentious, pretentious.
ايش ده شيء
Pretentious.
خروش بالله ده بايظ والله.
Sorry, what? What are you talking?
No, I was trying to read Russian in here, but didn't work.
From this translator, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so I read it like Kharosh Dabai Ballet, something like that. Is it right?
Pretentious.
pretentious.
Oh,
No, it's like ambitious, like this.
ambitious. How you can say it in Russian?
Ambitious.
Actually, I don't see it Russian because I see it synonyms. I translate from synonyms. Russian translator has a lot of synonyms, and I translate from them.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And I learn synonyms too. Because it's a good way to learn synonyms. Jarring, absurd, and pretentious. They said that such things should never take up mental space because they block the path to true understanding. One new spirit who was talking with me heard that I was speaking about the spirit and he asked, "What is a spirit?" He thought that he was still living on earth. "Everyone has a spirit inside," I said. "The living part of us is a spirit and pretentious, I forgot. Pretentious.
Pretentious.
It's like pretend. Pretend. You pretend to be humble. Like you pretend to be humble. It's pretentious.
Pretentious.
For example, your heart is so greedy that you pretend to be humble. Like this. Pretentious.
What is this book about?
It's about mind, I think. It's about how can you make the world a better place. It's Secrets of Heaven. It's about spiritual meaning of Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Genesis. It's about inner meaning. Actually, it's about mind in the sense. And if you want to read, you can read next section if you want.
I don't know how to read.
You cannot read. I mean, because you can see on the stream and you can read if you.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Pretentious. One new spirit who was talking with me heard that I was speaking about the spirit and he asked, "What is a spirit?" He thought that he was still living on earth. Everyone has a spirit inside, I said. The living part of us is a spirit, and the body only makes it possible for us to spend the time on earth. The body, the flesh, and the bones has never possessed life or engaged in thought. He looked doubtful. Doubtful? Like.
Doubtful.
So me intelligible.
Actually, I don't see it. It's Russian, but I see it synonyms. I try to translate from synonyms. I see this translator has a lot of synonyms, and for example, it's like doubting, this word.
Doubting.
So
Doubt.
нет.
Like not believe. Doubting is like not believe.
Not believe.
We read, he looked doubtful, is like he didn't believe to his words, like doubtful. So I asked, have you ever heard of the soul? What is the soul? He said. I don't know what the soul is. You yourself are now a soul or spirit. I was allowed to say. You can tell because you are above my head, not standing on the ground. Don't you realize that? He fled in terror, shouting, I am a spirit, I am a spirit. A certain Jew was also under the firm impression that he was alive in the body. So solid was his belief that he could hardly be persuaded otherwise. When shown that he was a spirit, he continued to insist that he was a person on earth because he could see and hear. That is what people who were body oriented in the world alike. I could cite many other instances, but this should suffice. What is suffice? Suffice.
Suffice.
It's like be enough.
Достаточно? I don't know.
I know.
Достаточно?
I don't know. I don't see it, but I see it satisfied. I learned synonyms actually, because I see it synonyms.
Satisfy.
Satisfy. I try to translate from synonyms. It's a better way to translate from translation, but to translate from synonyms, it's more useful.
So you think удовлетворять is better?
It's like satisfy in this sense. But this should suffice to show that it is the spirit within us, not the body, that senses. Mhm. Do you want to read next section 448?
Deal.
I have talked to too many people I knew in their bodily life, and our conversation have continued a long time, over month and through a year. Our voices were as clear to each other as the voices are among friends in this world, but they were heard internally. So, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it because I'm a bad reader. You can read.
Yeah, you're a good reader. Your reading is very good. You can. Don't be afraid.
Я не говоришь по-английски, мой брат. You read.
Okay.
I listed.
Okay. Mhm. Sometimes we also engaged in discussions about the human condition after death. They were astounded. Astounded.
Astounded.
Astounded. What is it? Astounded. Astounded, like amazed, shocked.
Yeah. Shocked.
Astounded.
Astounded.
Amazed.
That no one who is alive in the body knows or believes that she or he will live on after physical life ends. When the truth is that life continues and continues in such a way that it passes from darkness into broad daylight. For those who believe in the Lord, life grows clearer and clearer. These people wanted me to tell their friends on earth that they were alive and to send letters describing their current status. They themselves had heard much from me about how these friends were doing. But I said, if I were to say or write the things you ask, your friends would not believe me. They would accuse me of hallucination, laugh at me, and demand signs or miracles before believing. So I would be exposed to their ridicule. Few perhaps would believe that those things were true because they denied hard that spirits exist. Even those who do not deny are completely unwilling to hear that anyone could talk with spirits. Such beliefs about spirits never existed in ancient times, only in modern times, when people desired to investigate what the spirit is in a highly intellectual way that relies on skewed logic. Skewed logic, skewed. What is it?
Skewed.
What is it?
It's
What
like
does it
distorted
Перекошенный.
logic. hmm Like this skewed logic. With their definitions and theories, they deprive spirits of all sensation, and the more erudite, how to pronounce it? Erudite,
Erudite.
erudite. They claim to be, the more they do so. Genesis, next chapter is Genesis 5. Heaven and heavenly joy. No one yet realizes what heaven and heavenly joy are. Those who have considered either subject have formed such a crude, generalized picture that it is hardly a picture at all. Crude.
Crude.
Crude. It's like immature.
Immature.
Mature,
Immature.
crude.
Mature and immature, yeah? Like immature is like not mature. Non-mature.
Yeah, but
Immature.
I mean, I tried to translate to my native language, and the answer was like rude or cruel, like not
Yeah,
like natural, yeah, natural or raw states, not yet processed or refined.
yeah, marked by the primitive, gross, or elemental, or by uncultivated simplicity or vulgarity. Yeah, like this. Synonyms: dirty, like this, filthy, foul. Okay. Crude, generalized picture that it is hardly a picture at all. Spirits who have only recently come into the next life from the world have allowed me to see with perfect clarity what idea of heaven and heavenly joy they had formed. When left to their own devices as if they were still in the world, you see, they think the same way they did there. Let me offer just a few examples. Some who in the world had seemed more enlightened concerning the world than others had latched into such a false conception of heaven that they thought they could go to heaven just by going up. Had latched.
Latched.
It's like locked, latched. They imagined that from their height they would be able to govern everything below. So they thought they would be allowed to bask in self-glorification and in the superiority over others. To bask.
Bask.
It's like enjoy, bask. And in the superiority. What is the superiority?
Superiority.
Superiority. Superiority. Superiority. Superiority. Superiority. Superiority. Superiority.
Superiority.
Superiority. Say that again.
Superiority.
Yeah, superiority. Okay. Hi, nice to see you.
Okay,
I
hello.
recognized
Yeah.
I recognized you by your voice because
Yeah,
I don't
all
see.
people recognize me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't see nicknames because I am
Mhm.
on smartphone, but I can recognize voices of people.
I think you recognize only me because I every day, no, not every day, but I often came to this translation.
Actually, not often in this channel, but
Really?
your
Uh-huh.
yeah, because some people more often than you.
They active. Okay.
But
Yeah.
your voice is very recognizable. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, I'm reading Genesis 5. It's Genesis 5 in Armenian on Genesis 5.
Mhm.
And well, superiority over others. In order for them to see the error of their thinking, they were raised up on high, such being their fantasy, and were permitted some governance over things below. But they found to their shame that this heaven was an illusion. They discovered that heaven does not consist in altitude, but exists wherever people have love and charity. Altitude. Altitude. Consist in altitude.
Altitude.
Height. Altitude is height.
Mhm.
Height. Altitude, but exists wherever people have love and charity or the Lord's kingdom inside them, and that it does not involve the desire to be superior to others. The wish to be greater than others in not heaven but hell. Okay, can you read
Okay.
this?
One man who had been more influential than others during bodily life retained his desire for power in the other life. I told him that he was in another realm and in an eternal one, and that the power he had exercised on earth was dead. He has said the only standard by which people are evaluated is the amount of goodness and truth and of the Lord's mercy they possess.
It's evaluated, I think. You said evaluated, like evolution, but
Evaluated?
Evaluated.
it's about
Evaluate.
value. Do you
Evaluate.
remember? Yeah, we were talking
Yeah.
about value.
Yeah.
It's about value. Evaluated.
Evaluated.
Evaluated. The situation in this realm I added is just like that on Earth, where people acquire status only through wealth or through favor with the head of state. Wealth in this kingdom is goodness and truth, and the ruler's good favor is the Lord's mercy. If you want any other kind of influence, you are a rebel because you are in another realm. On hearing these things, the man burned with shame. I spoke with
Go on.
some I spoke with some spirits who thought heaven and heavenly joy consisted in being greatest. But I told them that the greatest in heaven is the one who is least. Whoever wants to be least has the greatest happiness. Since the person with the greatest happiness is a person who is least, it follows that such a person is the greatest. What is being greatest if not being happiest? Happiness is what the powerful seek in power and what the rich seek in riches. I added that heaven does not consist in the desire to be least for the purpose of being greatest, because then the hope and longing is to be greatest. Heaven is a wishing better for others than for ourselves with all our heart and serving others for the sake of their own happiness, not for any selfish goal, but for love.
Before we continue, I want to ask you something. For example, when you say this, for example, there, like this, there. I mean, can you keep your tongue like you want to say D, like door, but try to say keep your tongue like you want to say door, but try to say the like that. And you should
Oh,
understand what I mean.
can you show how I said the?
You say the like that.
А,
It's but I mean, ладно, я скажу по-русски. Прижми язык к верхним зубам, как будто вот поставил, как будто ты говоришь «д». «Д». Но только говори не «д». Дима, вот, for example. Дима. But говори «з». Держи язык там, как будто ты говоришь «д», но говори «з».
The.
Во,
Maybe
во.
Блин, it's hard. It's so hard.
Дима, скажи Дима. Или дверь. Дверь скажи, дверь. Только дверь. Нет, дверь говори, только говори «зе». Вместо дверь говори... Язык держи, как будто ты говоришь «д».
The. Oh,
«Д». The sake.
the sake.
Yeah, the sake.
I want to say the, not the. Like the.
Ты когда говоришь «зе», язык к нижним зубам прижимаешь или к верхним?
The. К верхним.
Кончик языка, кончик.
The. А, он просто прямо.
Ну, а ты к верхним прижимай, как будто «д».
Блин.
«Д» говори, но говори «зе».
The sake.
The sake. Do you see? For the.
Maybe I say the sake, not the, like the.
Да, the. Because
The.
the, for example, the door, but the, like the. Ну, как мягкое, the. The.
The.
Okay, it's better. It's better. Yeah. The sake of there. Do you see? Door, but there, the, like the. No, не the, but there. Mhm.
There. Okay, I try.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm. Thank you. Because it's better to listen to you when you say the. Because when you say как будто муха или комар.
Okay.
Ты говоришь,
The. Okay.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Thanks.
Okay. Happiness is what the powerful seek in power and what the rich seek in riches. I
Yeah.
added that heaven does not consist in the desire to be least for the purpose of being greatest, because then the hope and longing is to be greatest. Heaven is wishing better for others than for ourselves with all our heart, and serving others for the sake of their own happiness, not for any selfish goal, but for love.
Yeah, it's better. It's more better. Yeah. Thank you. Go on.
Some have such a simplistic idea of heaven that they think it's just a matter of being let in. They even picture it as a room with a door. The door will open and the doorkeepers will announce their arrival. Their arrival. The opinion of some is that a life of leisure and being waited on by others constitutes
It's arrival or arrival? Arrival, yeah.
arrival. Arrival.
Arrival.
Okay, yeah.
Arrival.
Like to come.
Yeah. It's
Translate
saying
use.
about, for example, a plane arrived.
Yeah. Arrival.
Arrival, yeah.
Arrival.
No, if for example it's verb, you said arrived.
Yeah. But arrival is noun. Yeah, noun. For example, if you say the arrival of train, like
For example,
the arrival of train.
the arrival of train was in 1999 or 9:13, for example. Okay. O'clock.
And in the same time, we can say the train arrived.
Yeah.
Arrived. Okay. Next page.
Heaven to this, I said that happiness never consists in seeking satisfaction, directly from doing nothing. If it did, we would inevitably want to take others' happiness for our own, and if everyone did, no one would be happy. Such a life would not be active but idle, resulting in sluggishness. When as
Hi.
anyone can see
Hi.
life
Can you hear the voice?
Hello.
Yes.
We are
I'm
reading.
reading
Do you want to read too?
1-1.
Sluggishness.
Yeah, we are reading, and if you want to read, you can read next verse in your turn.
I'm from Turkey.
Mhm.
I'm
Good for you.
and I'm reading.
Sluggishness.
you want
Yes.
to read?
Slug.
Want to has I see that happiness never consists in skin. Satisfaction directly. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
That's all?
What?
That's all? Maybe you continue?
I'm continue aber English. Zero English.
You have zero English, okay.
Yes. If
But
it
you can read. But you can read.
Yes. I'm begin.
Yeah.
Beginner.
You're a beginner and it's not... We don't talk...
Ekçenge.
You just read and that's all. We don't like every time communicate.
Ekçenge. Yes.
Yeah, the
What?
topic is reading, but not chatting. I mean, if you want to chat, you can go to channels for beginners on the server.
Yes. Yes.
There are a lot of people who want to chat
Yes.
on your level.
Again.
But you can listen and you can see how we read, and you can learn English from
Yeah, you
this book.
learn some words.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Go on. Keep reading.
Okay. Resulting in slag. Can you translate one more time?
Sluggish, like this.
Sluggishness.
Sluggish or sluggish? I think it's
It's slowly, yeah.
Sluggishness. Slowness.
Sluggishness.
Sluggishness, when anyone can see life holds no joy unless it's active. Angelic life consists in usefulness and acts of neighborly kindness. Nothing make angels happier than giving information to spirits newly arrived from the world and teaching them.
Şimdi Novli ya. Nivli. Not Nivli. Novli. Yes.
Newly.
Newly? Or no?
I
No,
think it's
newly.
newly.
Newly. Newly.
Newly.
Thank you.
You can hear.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Go. Yes.
Newly arrived from the world and teaching them, serving people on earth, making sure that the evil spirits present with them do not go too far, inspiring them with good, and reviving the dead as they enter eternal life, eventually taking them to heaven.
Eventually. Ne dedin ona? Eventually.
Eventually.
Yes. Tamam.
Eventually. If the condition of their souls allows it, angels find more happiness in this activity than
Yes.
uh,
Thank you.
How did you say this word?
inspiring. It's not inspiring maybe. Yeah?
I think maybe inspiring. Maybe in my version. Like
Inspiring.
Yeah.
yeah,
Inspiring.
inspiring.
Yes, okay.
Inspiring, like inspiration. But in the same time, it's inspiration, but inspiring because
Inspirational.
inspirational.
Inspirational. Yes, thank you.
Could ever to be described. In performing them, they become images of the Lord. In performing them, they love their neighbor more than themselves. This makes heaven. Usefulness, that is the good that comes of love and charity, is accordingly the substance, the source, and the measure of the angel's happiness. When I had finished saying these things, the spirits who sought
It's substance. You said substance. Substance.
object, like, yeah,
Substance.
Like material, matter,
Mm,
being,
Substance.
substance. Mhm.
mm. Um, heavenly joy consisted in relaxing and idly breathing the air of internal ecstasy. Were given the opportunity to perceive what such a life would be like. The idea was to embrace them out of it. They saw that such a life was utterly depressing and that in short order, when inactivity had destroyed all their joy, they would grow thick and tired of it.
Mhm. Go on.
Okay. One of the people reputed most knowledgeable about the world when he lived in the world had developed an idea of heavenly joy as consisting in a glorious ring of light like the circle of golden rays beaming from the sun.
Beaming, like blinking. No,
Beaming.
beaming like radiating. Beaming, like shine.
Beaming.
Beaming.
From the sun. As in the previous example, this dream life of his involved inactivity. To awaken him to his misconception, he was granted this kind of light, and as he stood at its center, he felt
Reputed. It's like it's about reputation. Reputed. Reputed.
Reputed.
Yeah, it's about reputation.
reputed.
You see, reputation and reputed like the same have the same
yeah.
root.
A little bit. Much. So much pleasure that, as he himself declared, it was like being in heaven. He could not linger there long, however, because little by little it grew tiresome for him and turned into no joy at all. Who wants to start to continue? I don't want.
Tiresome.
It's like,
Tired.
for example, tired, tiresome. Yeah.
Tired. Tired.
Tiresome.
Tiresome. For example, you can say to someone, "You're so tiresome."
Yeah. For example, your communication so tiresome.
Yeah. Okay. I'll continue. Some very informed people claimed that heavenly joy lay in a life spent not in carrying out the good deeds prompted by charity, but only in praising and celebrating the Lord. This life they called an active one, but I said that praising and celebrating the Lord is not an active life of the kind meant but a mere side effect of that life. The Lord has no need of praise but wants us to do the good things that charity calls on us to do. That is the activity that determines how happy the Lord can make us. Those people, smart as they were, still could not find any promise of joy in the good deeds of charity, only the prospect of servitude. I forgot this word. Servitude. Servitude is like slavery. Servitude. But to do such deeds is actually freeing and brings with it indescribable happiness, as the angels testified. Freeing is about free, like freedom.
Freeing.
Freeing. Yeah, it's about freedom, free, to be set free. Freeing. Almost all who come into the next life from the world think that hell is the same for everyone and heaven is the same for everyone, when in reality there are unlimited differences and variations in either case. Hell is never exactly the same for one person as for another, nor is heaven, just as there is never one person, spirit, or angel who is exactly the same as another. When I merely entertained the thought that there could be two people precisely the same or identical, it aroused horror among those in the world of spirits and among the angels of heaven. All unity is precisely, I forgot this word. I meet this word so often, but I cannot memorize it.
Precisely.
It's like exactly, precisely, clearly. For example, I understand you precisely. And exactly, precisely. All unity is formed out of harmony among many, they said. The way that the many harmonize determines what kind of unity they have. No monolithic unity lasts, only the unity created by harmony. So every community in the heavens forms a single unit, as do all the communities, or the whole of heaven take together. The Lord alone makes this happen, and he does so through love. One angel calculated only the most general kinds of joy experienced by spirits, in other words, inhabitants of the first heaven, to be around. This indicated how countless, how countless the less general kinds must be, and how innumerable the specific kinds that make up each general kind. And considering how many kinds there are in that heaven, you can see how unlimited must be the kinds of happiness in the heaven of angelic spirits, and how many more yet in the heaven of angels. At times, evil spirits have conjectured, conjectured,
Conjectured.
like suppose, conjectured, guess. At times, evil spirits have conjectured that some heaven other than the Lord's could exist. They have received permission to look for it wherever they could. To their own Chagrin. Chagrin. What is this?
Chagrin.
Chagrin. Chagrin.
Chagrin.
Transcription is like chagrin. Chagrin. Like this. Chagrin. It's like displeasure, upset. Chagrin. Chagrin. To their own chagrin, they have never been able to locate one. Evil spirits rush headlong into all kinds of craziness, both because they hate the Lord and because hell is so painful. And these are the kinds of fantasies they seize on. There are three heavens. The first is where good spirits are, the second where angelic spirits are, and the third where actual angels are. Actual angels, like real angels, maybe. Real, actual angels are. Spirits, angelic spirits and angels are each as a group divided up into heavenly and spiritual types. The heavenly ones are those whom love has led to receive faith from the Lord. As those who were part of the earliest church did, they have already been described. The spiritual ones are those whom religious knowledge has led to receive a feeling of charity from the Lord and them to act on it. More on this subject follows at the end of the chapter. Genesis 5. Oh, wants to read maybe this Genesis 5. This is the book of the birth of the human on the day on which God created the human. In God's likeness, He made the human. Male and female, He created them. And He blessed them. And He called the name human being on the day on which they were created. And the human lived on 130 years. And he fathered a child in his likeness after his image. And he called his name Seth. And after the human fathered Seth, his days were 800 years. And he fathered sons and daughters. And all the days that the human lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and fathered Enosh. And after Seth fathered Enosh, he lived 807 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Seth's days were 912 years, and he died. And Enosh lived 90 years and fathered Canaan. And after Enosh fathered Canaan, he lived 815 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Enosh's days were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and fathered Mahalalel. And after Canaan fathered Mahalalel, he lived 840 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Canaan's days were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and fathered Jared. And after Mahalalel fathered Jared, he lived 830 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Mahalalel's days were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years and fathered Enoch. And after Jared fathered Enoch, he lived 800 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Jared's days were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and fathered Methuselah. And after Enoch fathered Methuselah, he walked with God 300 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Enoch's days were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God and was no more, because God took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years and fathered Lamech. And after Methuselah fathered Lamech, he lived 782 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Methuselah's days were Methuselah's days were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years, and he fathered a son. And he called his name Noah, and said, saying, He will console us for our work and for the distress of our hands from the ground, which Jehovah cursed. And after Lamech fathered Noah, he lived 595 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. And all Lamech's days were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was a son of 500 years, and Noah fathered Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This chapter deals specifically with the propagation of the earliest church in later generations, almost up to the time of the flood. Church in original form, which was a heavenly church, is what is called the human and God's likeness, verse 1. The second church, which was not as heavenly as the earliest, is called Seth. The third church is called Enosh. The fourth Canaan, verse 9. The fifth Mehelah, verse 12. The sixth Jared, verse 15. The seventh Enoch, verse 18, and the eighth Methuselah. The church called Enoch is described as developing doctrine out of the things revealed to and perceived by the earliest church, although this doctrine was not of any use at that point. It was preserved for use by later generations. This is expressed in the words Enoch was no more because God took him. The ninth church was called Lamech. The 10th and the progenitor
Progenitor.
Progenitor of three churches that followed the flood is Noah. This church must be called the ancient church. Lamech is portrayed as not retaining the slightest trace of the earliest church's perception, and Noah is portrayed as a new church. In Armenian, 468. What was stated and demonstrated in the last chapter shows that names symbolize heresies and doctrines, and this in turn suggests that the names in the present chapter stand not for individuals but for some larger entity. Here they symbolize the doctrines, the churches that were preserved despite undergoing changes from the time of the earliest church up to Noah. A church tends to dwindle. What is it? Dwindle, like diminish, degenerate. Dwindle over time, however, until at last it remains with only a few. The few among whom it remained at the time of the flood were called Noah. The warning remained like stay, remains, remained. The waning, like fading, leaving, waning. The meaning of the true church until it remains with a few can be seen from other churches that likewise shrunk. Shrunk.
Shrank.
Shrink. Shrunk, but shrink. Decrease. Shrink and shrunk. Shrink, shrunk. The remaining few are called survivors or a remnant in the word, where they are described as being in the middle or heart of the land. The situation is the same in general as it is in particular. In other words, that holds true for the church holds true for individual people. Unless the Lord preserved a remnant in each of us, we could only succumb to eternal death because the remnant holds spiritual and heavenly life within it. Likewise, at the succumb, like die, succumb. Likewise, at the general or universal level, unless there were always some with whom the church or true faith survived, the human race would come to an end. For the sake of a handful, fistful. So, in all the city and in fact the whole nation is preserved. This is mirrored in the human heart. As long as the heart is healthy, the surrounding organs thrive.
Thrive.
Like prosper, blossom, thrive. When it ails, like sick, ails. When it ails, all the organs deteriorate and the person dies. Deteriorate.
Deteriorate.
Deteriorate. Like degrade. Deteriorate. And the person dies. The last survivors or remnants are what Noah symbolizes, since aside from him the whole earth was corrupt, as Genesis 6:12 makes clear. Remaining traces in each individual and in the church are discussed by the prophets in many places, as in Isaiah. The one left in Zion and the one remaining in Jerusalem will be called holy to him. Everyone in Jerusalem assigned to life when the Lord has cleansed the filth of Zion's daughters and washed away the blood of Jerusalem from its midst. What is left, symbolizing the survivors of the church and the remnant in the people of the church, is here described as being holy. After all, those left in Zion and Jerusalem could not have been holy just because they were left there. Likewise, in the same author, it will be in that day that the survivors of Israel and the refugees of Jacob's house will no longer continue to lean on the one that strikes them, and it will lean on Jehovah, the Holy One of Israel, in truthfulness. The survivors will return by the survivors of Jacob to the mighty God. In Jeremiah, in those days and at the time there will be a search,
Search.
will be a search for Israel's wickedness, but it will not be there, and for Judah's sins, and they will not be found, because I will pardon the one whom I make remainder. In Micah, the survivors of Jacob in the midst of many peoples will be like dew from Jehovah, like showers on the grass. The reminder
Remainder.
Remainder. Remainder. Like remnant. Remainder.
Remainder.
Remainder. The remainder or remnant in a person or in the church was also represented by tithes or portions equaling 1/10, which were holy. As a result, the number 10 was also holy, and this is why 10 is associated. This is why 10 is associated with remnants as it is in Isaiah. Associated with remnants as it is in Isaiah. Jehovah will take humankind away, but a great portion will be left in the middle of the land, and the 10th will remain there and return, but is destined for expulsion like an oak or a holm oak. When its stump is cast out, its stump is holy seed. Expulsion.
Expulsion.
Expulsion. Like exile. Deportation. Expulsion. Illusion. Expulsion like an oak. Holm. Holm.
Home.
Holm is like home. Oak. Oak is a tree.
Oak.
Oak. Big tree. When it's stump, it cast out. Stump. I know what a stump. Like stump of oak. Its stump is holy seed. Here the remainder of the holy stump in Amos. Amos. This is what the Lord Jehovah has said. The city going out as 1,000 will leave 100 remaining, and the one going out as 100 will leave 10 remaining to the house of Israel. Those places and many others in their inner meaning symbolize and describe a remnant. The fact that a city is preserved for the sake of the church's survivors can be seen from what Abraham said of Sodom. Abraham said, "Perhaps 10 may be found there," and Jehovah said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 10." Mhm. Hello, who wants to read? Next.
I read.
Yeah. Nice to hear you. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Genesis 5:1. This is the back book of the birth of the human. On the day on which God created the human, in God's likeness, He made the human. The book of birth is the enumeration of those who were part of the earliest church. On the day on which God created the human means that the human became spiritual. In God's likeness, He made the human means that the human became heavenly. So it is a depiction, is it? Depiction of the earliest church. Depiction.
Depiction is like it's about picture, yeah? Depiction. The same root. Picture and depiction, like, yeah,
Depiction.
description. Like picture. Displaying depiction.
What follows establish clearly enough that the book of birth is the enumeration of
Some troll came here.
Bro, why do you call me troll?
Because you're a troll.
Bro, why
I
you
will,
call
I
me
will
troll?
mute you.
Why you call me troll? Don't mute me. Okay, bro, I'm not doing that. How are you
Because you're a
guys?
troll.
Why do you call me troll? Reading books, serious guy.
You can continue.
And I am troll.
But
I can continue? Did you like that?
do you want to read?
Bro,
No.
did you like that?
No, it's your it's your verse to read.
Wait, where did I stop?
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah I know.
depiction of the earliest church from here.
I'll start again. What follows establish clearly enough that the Book of Birth is the enumeration of those who were part of the earliest church. From here up to chapter 11, or to, is it Eber or Eber? Eber. Am I saying right? Eber. Eber.
Sorry, I don't see. In the earliest, where do
or
this
to
word?
Eber. No, upper, up. From here up to chapter 11, or to Eber.
Eber. It's like name to pronounce Eber maybe.
Eber.
Eber. It's like Eber. Okay. Or to Eber. Names never refer to individuals, but some development. In the earliest era, the human race was divided up to households, clans, and nations. A household comprised a husband and wife and their children, along with others of the same clan, who served them. A clan comprised several households. The number could be small or large, living not far from each other, but not in exactly the same place either. A nation comprised a small or large number of clans. They lived this way independently, divided only into households, clans, and nations, in order to preserve the church entire. The purpose was for all households and clans to evolve from one progeny, uh,
Progenitor.
Progenitor.
Progenitor, like founder, ancestor.
Progenitor, and so to persist in their love and their true worship. In addition, each household has had its own identity and distinguished it for the next. As everyone knows, children acquire their personality from their parents, as do future generations, and they also inherit characteristic traits of face and so on, by which they can be recognized. Consequently, it pleased the Lord to have them.
Okay, sorry. 1 second.
Okay, among them. In this church represented the Lord's kingdom uh, with great fidelity, because the Lord's kingdom holds countless groups of people, each differing from the next in its love and faith. This, as noted before, is to live alone, and as also noted, to live in tents, and this is what the Lord was pleased. to have the Jewish church do too. Live, div- live divided into households, clans, and tribes, marrying within the clan, and for the same reason. The subject will, by the Lord's divine mercy, be explored further in what follows. The meaning of on the day on which God created the human as a time when the human became spiritual can be seen from the statements made and demonstrated above. So, can the meaning of in God's likeness, He made the human as a time when the human became heavenly. Create applies to people specifically when they are being created anew or regenerated, and make when they are being perfected. So the distinctions among creating, forming, and making or doing are carefully observed in the word. Chapter 2 above contains an example wherein in talking about the transformation of spiritual person into a heavenly one, it says, God rested from all the work that he had done as God in creating it. There are many other examples elsewhere. In these places, create has to do with a person who is spiritual in nature and make that is perfect. With a person who is heavenly in nature, see, see. Okay. The fact that God's likeness is a heavenly person, the God's image, a spiritual one, has also been shown above. An, an image is in the likeness of another thing, but a likeness is an exact copy. Because a heavenly person is completely under the Lord's guidance as a likeness of Him. Because the current topic then is the birth or propagation of the earliest church. Its transformation from spiritual to heavenly is the first thing described here. The other stages of propagation follow from it. Thank you.
Genesis 5:2. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them and called their name human being on the day on which they were created. Male and female symbolizes the marriage between faith and love. Calling the name human being means they were a church which especially deserves the name of human. The symbolism of male and female as the marriage between faith and love has been stated and demonstrated before. The male or a man symbolizes the intellect and everything connected with it, so it symbolizes the qualities of faith. The female symbolizes the will of or the properties of the will, so it symbolizes the qualities of love. This is also why the woman was named Eve from the Hebrew word life, which belongs exclusively to love. As a further result, a female also symbolizes the church, again as shown earlier, and the male symbolizes the individual of the church. The subject here is the state of the church when it was spiritual, although it soon became heavenly. This is why male comes first, just as it did in Genesis 1:26-27. The word create also has to do with the spiritual person. Immediately afterward, however, when the marriage was complete, or in other words, the church had developed a heavenly character, they are called not male and female, but human being, meaning both because of the marriage. This is why the next words are, and he called the name human being, which symbolizes the church. The identification of the human being with the earliest church was being stated and demonstrated many times before. In the highest sense, the Lord himself is the only human being. The heavenly type of church acquires its name as human from this, because it is likeness of the Lord. The spiritual type of church does too, because it is an image of him. But in common usage. Mhm. It's like use, but usage.
Usage.
Usage. It's noun. Because use is the verb. Usage it's noun.
Mhm.
But in common.
Swedenborg, you have, I think, mistake. You said every when you church, you said not church, you said church, but it's church.
Church? It's church.
No, it's church.
Church. Church.
Transcription is like church, and because when
No.
native speakers say church. You see the transcription.
Church.
Listen.
Church. Maybe I don't
Church.
know. Maybe only in Great Britain likes this saying church. Church.
Yeah, church. Maybe it's like acceptation in rules of rules acceptation, like.
For example, Catholic Church, yeah, Church.
Catholic
Okay.
Church. Church. The spiritual type of church does too, because it is an image of him. But in common usage, a human being is defined as anyone who has a human intellect, on the supposition that the intellect makes us human. And that, yeah, I'm agree, because you see, intellect, it's very important to understand. Intellect makes us human, because what's the difference between a monkey and a human? Difference is intellect, yeah, and intelligence, because monkey looks like a human too, but monkey has low intellect in this sense. But if monkey will have great intellect, like maybe 100 IQ, it means monkey would be like human.
Monkey, I think they have IQ maybe 30, 40 IQ. They can do they can how to repeat, for example, some движения of person. They for example, I think monkey and all семейство monkeys, they have more mind than other animals, I think.
Yeah, and I read that idiots, for example, are those who have 20 IQ. For example, if someone has 20 IQ, he's an idiot.
No, I think it's not. It's I think people who was born sick. Like for example, how's the saying?
Down.
Yeah, down like this. That's
it means they are idiots, yeah, because I mean, who people who were born sick, they're idiots.
Maybe
because of intellect, yeah, because of intellect, low intellect.
No, they how say they have problems with their mosque.
Yeah, and I mean it's a, and we can say that they have low intelligence and intellect, because actually they cannot be learned, they cannot be taught.
if they, for example, they want to study to have big knowledge, they can't because they are sick. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of
And
course.
actually, their IQ is so low, and we can say that here Swedenborg means that intellect makes us human. Yeah, because
Yeah.
and because without intellect we are like animals. Because what's the difference between animals and people? Only intellect.
And what he's saying, and having more of it makes one person more human than another. It's, for example, who have IQ 60 and 70, for example, and a person who have IQ 150. It's like this person who have 150, he will be more human than who have 60, for example, IQ, I think.
Yeah. And who is in high school, like this, maybe he has 100 IQ, maybe. Yeah. 100 IQ.
Maybe
who is learning very good in high school. His IQ is I mean who is studied how to say it. Yeah, like I read that red degree, like красный диплом, I don't know, 100 IQ, like this.
Swedenborg, how do you think, what is your IQ?
My IQ,
Yeah.
I don't know, but when I believe that if I will read books from writers who have high IQ, I believe that my IQ will increase, will be increasing, and will grow because our intelligence depends from information we receive, because we people are information beings, and if we are smart and wise, it means we have good information in our minds, and it means that our IQ is more highest because I installed that information into my mind. And Swedenborg has 206 IQ, and it's the third place of IQ in history. And I believe if I will read his books, I will be more smart and wise, and my IQ will be more because of books I read. Would you agree? Because books are like a computer program. It's like information we install it into our minds, and our minds can work from that information we received. Because it's about teaching, yeah. Because our intelligence depends from teaching. We study, we learn. Actually, like this. And actually, I believe if you, and I heard about it, if you are able to understand and comprehend books of Emanuel Swedenborg, it means that your IQ is more than 100. Would you agree? Because if you understand his books, because not everyone can understand his books. You can just read his books, but it's more important to understand them. Okay. And he writes, a human being is defined but in common usage. But in common usage, a human being is defined as anyone who has a human intellect. Yeah, it's interesting. A human being is defined as anyone who has a human intellect on the supposition
Supposition.
like assumption. Mhm. Supposition that the intellect makes us human, and that having more of it makes one person more human than another, although distinctions among us would better be based on the degree of our love and belief in the Lord. What is mainly called the human is the earliest church and every true religion, and consequently the people in such a religion or people characterized by love or and faith in the Lord. The word makes this clear as in Ezekiel. I will multiply humankind, the whole entire house of Israel, upon you, mountains of Israel. I will multiply human and animal upon you, so that they may multiply and reproduce. And I will cause you to live as in your ancient times, and I will do good to you beyond that at your beginnings. And I will cause humankind, my people Israel, to walk upon you. The ancient times here symbolize the earliest church. The beginnings symbolize the ancient churches, and the house of Israel and the people Israel symbolize the early Christian church or the church among non-Jews. All these churches are being referred to as human beings in Moses. Remember the days of old, understand the years of generation after generation, when the highest one gave an inheritance to the nations, when he divided the children of humankind. He set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the children of Israel. The days of old mean the earliest church, while generation after generation means the ancient churches. The ones being called the children of humankind are those who believed in the Lord. Their belief is the number of the children of Israel. A regenerate individual is called a human being in Jeremiah. I looked at the earth and their void and emptiness, and to the heavens, and these had no light. I looked, and there, not a human, and every bird of the heavens had flown away. Flown. It's like fly, flew,
Fly, flew,
maybe
flown,
flown,
yeah.
yeah.
Third form.
Flown.
Third form, yeah. This
Yeah.
is a third form. Because it's, can you say, I mean, do you know grammar? Can you say this grammar construction, the name of this grammar
It's
construction?
past perfect.
Yeah, past perfect. Yeah, you know grammar. Had flown away because it's good if you know English grammar, we can translate English sentences correctly. It's past perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tense. The earth stands for the outer self, and the heaven for the inner. The human stands for love of goodness, and the bird of the heaven stands for comprehension of truth. In the same author, look, the days are coming when I will sow the house of Israel, and the house of Judah will the seed of human and the seed of animal. The human stands for the inner self, and the animal for the outer. In Isaiah, keep your distance from humans, whose breath is in their nose, for how much are they worth? The person stands for someone in the church. In the same author, Jehovah will send the humankind far away, but a great portion will be left in the middle of the land. This is about the devastation of a person to the point where no good or truth remains. In the same author, the residents of the land will be destroyed by fire, and the humanity left behind will be a pittance. Pittance. What is this?
Pittance.
Pittance. It's like pittance. Handout.
Handout.
Handout. Pittance. Distribution. Pittance. Humanity here stands for those who possess faith. Who possess faith. Do you see? Yeah, it's interesting. Humanity here stands for those who possess faith. Yeah, you see, people have faith, they are humanity. Mhm. In the same author, the paths have been abandoned. The traveler on the path has ceased. They have nullified the compact. They have despised the cities. They have thought nothing of humankind. The land mourns and droops. Droops.
Droops.
Droops like hang down. Wither. Fade. Droops. This time, humankind actually refers to humankind, or a human being, which in the Hebrew here is Enosh. In the same author, I will make humankind more precious than pure gold, and humanity more precious than Ophir's gold. Therefore, I will shake heaven and the earth will quake. I will shake heaven and the earth will quake out of its place. Here, humankind in the Hebrew is called Enosh the first time, Adam the second time. Okay, 3 pages else. The reason the term Adam is used is that the Hebrew word means a human. The person is never called by the proper name Adam, but is called the human. Clear evidence for this is the fact that here in verse 2 and earlier, the human is spoken, if not in the singular, but in the plural. What is more, the term refers to both the man and the woman. Both together are called the human. Anyone can see that this is so from the words themselves, which are, he called the name human being on the day on which they were created. Likewise, in chapter 1, it says, let us make a human in our image, and these will rule over the fish of the sea. The same words also show that the subject is not some first created individual of the race, but the whole of the earliest church. In the word to call someone's name, such and such to call someone by a name, symbolizes a knowledge of a person's nature, as shown above. Here it was the earliest church whose nature was recognized, and recognized as being that of a human taken from the ground, or, in other words, regenerated by the Lord. The word Adam means ground. Later, when the church came to have a heavenly nature, it was recognized as being more human than others because it loved and so believed in the Lord. Who wants to read next verse? Genesis 1:26.
Okay. 27 makes it clear that they were indeed called human, being on the day on which they were created, that is, at the end of the 6th day. This corresponds to the eve of the Sabbath, or the moment when the Sabbath or seventh day started, and the seventh day or Sabbath is a person of heavenly character, as shown before. And the human lived 130 years, and he fathered a child in his likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth.
I think it's image. You said like image.
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 Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, what?
Image.
Image.
130 years symbolizes that the interval before the new church came into being, because this church was not very different from the earliest one. It says that it was born in his likeness and after his image. But likeness now has regard to face, and an image to love. This church was referred to as says. The inner meaning of the years and numbers of years that come up in this chapter is not as yet recognized by anyone. Those who concentrate on the literal meaning consider the years to be time related, but none of the chapters from here to the 12th contains any history that is literally accurate. Each and every detail instead has a different kind of content. As with the names, so also with the numbers. The number 3 occurs frequently throughout the word as just the number 7, and each time they occur, they symbolize something whose circumstances are holy or sacrosanct. The periods of time and other features involved entail or represent those circumstances. The
Circumstances.
The meaning is the same for short periods as it is for long periods, just as the parts make up the whole, so the smallest fractions make up the largest aggregates. Aggregates. There has to be uniformity across the different magnitudes for
Magnitudes, maybe. Mhm.
Uniformity.
Uniformity. Uniformity is like anything, monotony, similarity, harmonization, unity. And magnitudes.
Magnitudes.
Magnitudes. Different magnitudes. It's like
magnitudes.
value size like this.
For whole to develop out of the parts.
Здорово, заебал. Здорово, здорово.
Maybe you close your video, we just read a book.
I just think... Хуцы, блять. Сейчас, подожди. Okay. Give me a sec.
Can you speak English? Because it's the English channel.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to speak English, man. Don't worry. I know it's really hard to express my mind and my thoughts about in English, but never mind. Ooh, so many people here.
Yeah, we're reading the book, and if you want to read this book too, you can read next verse in the turn.
Yeah.
You can see on the stream.
Okay, can I?
Yeah, you can continue this.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Who will start now?
Right now you can start.
Okay. Where? Whole or now?
Yeah. Continue.
All.
Okay.
Whole.
Whole to devolve out of the parts or for an aggregate to emerge from the pieces in a compatible way. In Asia, for example, now has Ява... Чего, блядь?
Jehovah.
Jehovah
Jehovah.
spoken, saying, in 3 years, corresponding to a high servant years, the glory of Maud will be abased.
What is abased?
Yeah, I don't know. Abased.
Abased.
Ты, сука, ты русский, блядь. Ты педрил.
Actually, I translate from synonyms. I don't see it Russian language, but I see it synonyms. It's a better way to translate from synonyms because you can memorize synonyms at the same time.
Yandex Translate is the best.
Yeah, but I can use dictionary actually, but it's more slowly to translate from dictionary because I should think about it. And actually, there are synonyms too, and antonyms, antonyms too. Abased, okay, humiliated. Next page. Go on.
I think he go out from this
He
room.
left. He left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. In the same offer, the Lord said to me, in one more year, corresponding to a hired servant's years, all the glory of Kedar will be consumed. This means both the shortest and the longest periods in Habakkuk. Jehovah, I have heard of your fame. I have been out. Jehovah.
What is
out.
it? Out. I've been out.
Aid.
Aved. Like aved. It's like fear, tremble. Maybe in dictionary.
I have been out.
Pronunciation.
Odd.
Odd.
Maybe it's odd. 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 Respect like this. Shown awe. This word.
For example,
showing.
somebody you are out.
Been.
I have been out, Jehovah. By your work. In the middle of the years, bring its life.
The years. It's
years.
a vowel sound.
Yeah.
The years.
Why I see. The years bring its life. In the middle of the years, please make it known. The middle of the year stands for the Lord's coming. In regard to shorter periods, it stands for every instance in which the Lord comes when we are being reborn. For example, in regard to somewhat longer periods, it stands for a time when the Lord Church rises up in you. Isaiah also calls this the year of the redeemed. The day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed has come. 1,000 years in which Satan was.
It's Satan.
Satan. Satan.
Satan.
Devil. Shaitan. For Muslims say call it Shaitan like this. Shaitan maybe.
Shaitan.
Shaitan.
Satan. um, was to be
Was
fettered.
what is fettered? Fettered.
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 It's like
It's
shame
like shackled.
for shameless person.
No, it's like
No?
it's about chain. It's about chain.
Chain.
Chain. Shackled. Like in literal sense. Because you mean figure of speech, but it is in literal sense.
Yeah.
Like chain. It's about chain.
Ой, sorry.
Like
You're like a teacher here?
fettered. No, I'm just learning English from this book. If I don't know any words, I can translate and I can tell my opinion about it, and it's my opinion. How can you understand this word?
Okay.
And the thousand years of the first resurrection. Likewise mean not 1,000 years, but the state of those people, just as day is taken to refer to a state as shown before, so are years. And the number of years describe the states in some way. This clarifies the fact that the intervals mentioned in this chapter also involve the prevailing states in the states of perception in each
Perception.
perception in each chart was different from that in another.
What?
Differences in the ability to perceive the result of differences in character was inherited. The names that follow says Enosh, Canon, Michael, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah symbolize so many churches, of which the first and
What is the name
most
The name, it's I can show. It's Secrets of Heaven by Manuel Swedenborg.
I see.
This is this book, Secrets of Heaven, Volume 1.
Okay. Thank you.
Go on.
Important was the one called the human. For these churches, the most important attribute was perception, although the main distinctions among them in that era were differences in perception. Concerning perception, let me mention that throughout heaven, the perception of goodness and truth alone holds sway. Its nature is such that it can never be described, and it comes in so many different varieties that
Hold sway.
sway. Truth alone holds sway.
Sway.
Like
Mhm.
influence, power, sway, like hold sway. This word different. How did you say this?
Varieties.
I think it's varieties. Listen.
Varieties.
Varieties.
Okay.
Varieties.
Varieties. Varieties.
Not one community has the same kind as another. There are general categories and specific kinds of perception in heaven, and the number of general categories cannot be counted. Likewise, the specific kinds within each category what will be discussed later.
Discussed.
Uh,
Discussed.
discussed later with the Lord's divine mercy. In the face of countless general categories, countless specific kinds within each category, and still more uncountable variety
Varieties.
varieties, yeah. Within each kind, it is evident how little the world today knows about heavenly and spiritual matters. Its knowledge is so scant as to amount to almost nothing, since it's just not even know what perception is, and if told, does not believe that such a thing exists. It's equally ignorant in other areas. The earliest church represented the Lord's heavenly kingdom in respect to the various uh, genera and species of perception.
Species.
Species.
Species. Like type of animals, like this. Of perception. And what is
Genera. What is this genera?
genera?
Scant.
Can't.
Scant.
Scant.
Boring. Can say.
Yeah,
No.
limited.
It's not boring. It's like
Scarce.
don't,
Scarce.
for example, don't, yeah.
Scarce.
Yeah.
No.
Genera. Genera, yeah. Genera.
Genera.
It's like species too. Sort,
Yeah,
type,
the same, yeah.
species.
Like species, yeah.
Genera. Like biological
Mhm.
stuff like this.
Species,
Species of perception.
genera. In view of today's sorrow,
True.
sorrow,
Thorough.
ignorance of what perception is, even its broadest outlines, to recount the categories and type of perception in those churches would be to purvey nothing but the strange and unheard of. The people of those churches were divided into households, clans, and nations, and contracted marriage within the household or clan for a reason. The reason was to preserve the different
Purvey.
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 Purvey. Like supply, deliver.
Deliver, yeah.
Purvey.
In different categories and types of perception, and to transmit them exclusively by reproducing the character of the parents in their children. As a result, those who were part of the earliest church also lived to also the earliest church also lived together in heaven. The fact that the church called Tess shared a close similarity with the earliest church can be seen from the fact that it says the human fathered a child in his likeness after his image and called his name Seth. The likeness has to do with the face and the image with love. This
Image.
church. Image.
Like picture.
With love, this church you see was not like the earliest church in loving and therefore believing in the Lord, as can be seen from the statement just above. Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them and called them name human. These words, as noted above, symbolize the spiritual person of the 6 days day, though that says likeness was to the spiritual person of the 6th day. In other words, love was not so much the primary concern in this church, yet faith was still bound up with love. That's all.
Mhm. Okay. Maybe one page and you can finish this verse.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. Says means another church here than the one previously depicted by says in Genesis. See there. Churches whose theologies are different can be called by the same name as verses 17 and 18 of the last chapter show. Two churches mentioned there were called Enoch and Lamech, while two others in verses 21 and 30 of the present chapter are likewise named Enoch and Lamech.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Who wants to read next verse? Genesis 5:4, maybe.
Who
Nobody
wants
wants
to
to read?
read?
Okay, I'll read then. Genesis 5:4. And after the human fathered Seth, his days were 800 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. Days symbolize those times and states in general. Years symbolize those times and states in specific. Sons and daughters symbolize the truth and the goodness they perceived. The symbolism of days as those times and the states in general was shown in the first chapter. Where the days of creation symbolize nothing else, it is very common for the word to call all units of time days. In this verse, the practice is quite obvious, is it also is in verses and below. The general states at those times accordingly are symbolized by days as well. When years are mentioned in conjunction with days, the time spans, maybe spans, the time, span,
Spans.
time spans, like in interval, period,
Interval.
spans. The time spans represented by those years symbolize the nature of the states, then, in other words, they symbolize the specific states. Yeah, it's interesting. The time spans represented by those years symbolize the nature of the state, them. Then, in other words, they symbolize the specific states. Do you understand that? Because I understand it, I understand it like, for example, I can say, what is your spiritual season currently? Like spiritual season, like your state,
Uh,
your specific
season?
state. Season, like, because do you see, like, seasons don't mean seasons in literal sense in heaven, but it's like states, specific states. For example, if I want to know your state, like specific state, spiritual state, I can say, what is your spiritual season? And you can say, oh, it's, for example, it's winter. And you can say, oh, it's spring, or or summer maybe. Yeah, it's not about summer of or winter of physical world, but it's about your state. And for example, what about you? If I will ask you, what is your spiritual season? What can you say? Like
A
state?
little bit
I mean,
summer and a little bit spring.
spring and summer. Yeah, it means you're happy, yeah, because it's spring and summer. Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's about happiness. Yeah, because summer is like we are happy like this, but in winter we are maybe sad a little bit. Yeah, in
No,
autumn,
in
like
autumn set, not in winter.
yeah, yeah. He means it. I think they symbolize the specific states. And actually, I if I will because it is about days too. For example, if I will question you, for example, what is your
Spiritual day, yeah.
yeah, like time, spiritual time.
Time, it's for example,
Yeah.
it will be every day Sunday and no, yeah, Sunday at maybe I don't know at 12 o'clock a.m.
I see you can you can understand it, yeah. Because if I say, oh, it's night like the time of day, yeah, the time of day, it's like my time of day is like maybe night. It's not about night of physical world, but it's about
Yeah.
my state, my specific state. Like night, maybe I can say, oh, it's day or morning or evening, yeah, like this. The earliest people had particular numbers they used for symbolizing various aspects of the church: 3, 7, 10, 12, and additional ones that they compounded out of these and others. This allowed them to sum up the states of the church. As a result, these numbers contain hidden wisdom that would require a long explanation. It was a way of evaluating evaluating evaluation or evaluating, yeah, I think. Way of evaluating, it's about
Yeah,
value,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
Evaluating.
This word we translate how many times?
Yeah. we
Uh,
we cannot memorize this word.
yeah,
Evaluate it, it's about value.
I remember this.
Different states in the church. The same phenomenon occurs at many other places in the world, especially in the prophets. In the rites, it's rights. In the rites, what does it mean? No,
Rights.
rights. Yeah, rights like ritual. And ritual is like right.
Ritual.
Ritual. Ritual. In the rites of the Jewish religion, there are also numbers for both timing. Timing or timing?
Timing.
I think.
Timing. It's about time. Yeah, it's about time. It looks like time. Thank you. Timing. For both timing and measurement in connection with sacrifices, my minhas, maybe minhas.
Minhas.
Minhas. It cannot be translated. I don't know what does it mean. Minhas, maybe in dictionary. Merriam-Webster. Word is not found.
Maybe in
It's
the picture.
interesting. Yeah, maybe in picture you can see. Because Google Images
It was the
know
same
a lot.
yesterday. It's like a K-pop picture that was in it. Yeah, pop up.
It's a company or what?
It's like beer, like this. Maybe.
Maybe.
You see.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, I don't know what this means. It's like beer, no? Alcohol. Okay, but actually, it's not about beer here. With sacrifices, minchas, oblations. What is it? Oblations. Ah, it's like
Ablations.
sacrifice too, offering oblations. It's about rituals and other acts of worship. And everywhere those numbers occur, they symbolize holiness in the thing they are applied to. What these numbers specifically involve, then the 800 in this verse, the 930 in the next, and so on for the numbers of years in the following verses is more than I can ever convey. They all come down to changes in the state of religion among those people seen in relation to their general state. Later on, by the Lord's divine mercy, I will need to tell what the simple numbers up to 12 symbolize. Unless this is known first, the symbolism of their products cannot be grasped. The symbolism of days as general states and of years as specific states can also be seen in the word, as I said. Take these words in Ezekiel. You have made the end of your days approach and have come all the way to the end of your years. This is about people who do loathsome things and feel the quota of sin. Quota. It's like norm. Quota. Of sin. So in regard to the state of such people, days describes its general outlines, and years its specific nature. In David, you will add days to the monarch's days. The monarch's years will be like those of generation after generation. This is about the Lord and his kingdom. The days and years stand for the state of his kingdom. In the same author, I thought about the ancient days, the years of old. The ancient days are the states of the earliest church, and the years of old are the states of the ancient church. In Isaiah, the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed has come. This stands for the final times. The day of vengeance stands for a state of damnation, and the year of the redeemed for a state of blessing. In similar words from the same author, to proclaim a year of good pleasure for Jehovah and a day of vengeance for our God to comfort all who mourn. Here again, both the word day and the word year are used, and they symbolize states. In Jeremiah, renew our days as in ancient times. Here, the days obviously stand for the state of those people. In Joel, the day of Jehovah has come, because it is near, a day of shadow and darkness, a day of cloud and haze.
Haze.
It's like fog, haze. One like it has not occurred for ages, and after it one will not occur again for the years of generation after generation. Yeah, in this sense, I see, because in this, for example, if we are like translators, yeah, if you want to be translators of any language, for example, English language, we should translate from context and connotation, because in this context, when we see the day of Jehovah has come, because it is near, and in the sense we can think about any certain day of calendar, but actually it's not about any day of calendar, because it's not about time, yeah, because God is outside of time and space, and in this sense it's a day of shadow and darkness, because darkness, what is darkness? Yeah, it's not about time, we can see, and we should understand this context, and we should translate this word like day, concerning of that context, because we can see that it's not about day like time. Actually, it's about day like light, because when we say day in English, yeah, we can think about time, but actually actually the same time, we can think about light too, because when you say day, it's about light, yeah, because day and night, it's not about time, it's about light and darkness, like this. Yeah, I see. Here a day stands for a state of shadow, darkness, cloud, and haze, for each person in particular and everyone in general. In Zechariah, I will carry off the wickedness of that land in one day. On that day you will shout, a man to his companion, to come under the grapevine and under the fig tree. And in another place, there will be a single day. It is known to Jehovah. It is not day or night. Yeah, in this sense, it's not about day. Do you see? There will be a single day. It is known to Jehovah. It is not day or night. Yeah, if it is not day or night, it means it's not about day like time. Yeah, it's about light and lack of light. And it will happen that at the time of evening there will be light. Yeah, do you see? It's light. I'm right. Plainly, this is about some state of mind. Yeah, it's about state of mind. Because it says that there will be a day that is not day or night, and that there will be light at the time of evening. Statements in the Ten Commandments provide further evidence. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be lengthened, and so that it may be well with you upon the ground. The lengthening of days does not symbolize long life, but a happy state. Yeah, it's interesting. Lengthening of days. When we read about lengthening of days, we can think about time, like long life. But actually, it's about happy state. That's great. On a literal level, no other meaning for a day can be seen than that of time, but in an inner sense, it means a state. Angels who focus on the inner meaning of the word do not know what time is. They have no sun or moon to divide time into units. So they do not know what a day or a year is, only what a state and changes in state are. For this reason, whatever partakes of matter, space, or time dissolves under the gaze of angels, alive to the word's inner meaning. The literal sense of these words from Ezekiel does so. For instance, the day is near. Yes, the day of Jehovah is near. The time of the nations will be a day of cloud. The day of cloud. And from Joel, oh my, the day, for the day of Jehovah is near, and it comes as devastation. The day of cloud stands for a cloud, or in other words, falsity. Yeah, because you see, I understand it like because when we see clouds in sky, like clouds in heaven, what does it mean? Is it good to see clouds in in the sky, in sky or not? As for me, it's not good. Yeah, because clouds mean we don't see sun. It's like we are unhappy because of clouds, actually. And in this sense, if we can see light because of clouds, in this sense, it means that it's like falsity. Because sun means truth and good. The day of the nation stands for the nations, or in other words, wickedness. The day of Jehovah stands for devastation. When the notion of time is laid aside, there remains the notion of the state that things were in at that time. The situation is the same for the days and years mentioned so frequently in this chapter. The symbolism of sons and daughters as the truth and goodness that this church perceived, sons being the truth and daughters the goodness, can be seen from many places in the prophets. The things conceived and born in the church are called daughters and sons in the word, just as they were in ancient times. An example from Isaiah. The nations will walk toward your light, and monarchs toward the radiance of your dawn. Raise your eyes all around and see. They all gather and come to you. Your sons will come from far away, and your daughters will be nourished at your side. Then you will see and flow toward them, and your heart will be struck with awe and expand. Awe. It's like
E.
awe, but transcription is like awe.
E.
But she says E. I don't understand. Like fear. Maybe in dictionary. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh. I think Yandex is wrong. With awe and expand. The sons stand for truth and the daughters for good. David. Free me and rescue me from the hand of a foreigner. Foreigners of a foreigner's sons whose mouth speaks hollow, hollow words. Our sons are like plantings grown large in their youthful days. Our daughters are like corner pieces cut in the shape of the temple. A foreigner's sons stand for pseudo-truth, that is falsities. Our sons stand for doctrinal concepts concerning truth. Daughters for doctrinal concepts concerning good. In Isaiah, I will say to the north, hand them over, and to the south, do not hinder them. Hinder, I think.
Hinder.
It's like hinder, detain, hinder them. Bring my sons from far away and my daughters from the end of the earth, leading forth a blind people, and they will have eyes, and the deaf, and they will have ears. The sons stand for truth and the daughters for good, the blind for those who will see truth and the deaf for those who submit to it. In Jeremiah, shame has devoured our fathers' toil from our youth, their smaller livestock, their herd, the sons and their daughters. The sons and daughters stand for truth and good. I think this verse is very big, yeah. Maybe someone wants to continue from item 2.
I mean,
Go ahead. From item 2.
to see that sun stands for truth, look in Isaiah. No longer will Jacob be ashamed, and no longer will his face pale, because when he sees his sons, the work of my hands in his midst, they will revere. Is it revere?
Revere, like honor, I
Revere.
think. Yeah, like
Revere.
honor, reverence. Like if you are before a king, for example, yeah, king or queen, you should revere his or her, like queen. Reverence.
Okay.
Do you know what is reverence? Reverence.
Like bow, like bowing. Like
Yeah. Yeah. In England, people do reverence to queen and king.
honor like that.
What you are talking about here, guys? Hello?
It's about this word like revere.
Revere.
It's like reverence.
Reverence. It's what there is in the Russian word. Reverence.
But, your microphone is very noisy. You know it.
Oh, sorry.
When you
It's
speak,
not
it's
in
like
right now. Sorry. I'm bother you? No, sorry.
it's when you speak, it's slow. It's like very big noise from your microphone. Maybe it's like
I'm speaking.
your microphone
Okay,
sounds like.
Okay.
It's better. Yeah, now it's better. It was sounding
Too noisy, yeah. I understand.
Shall I?
Yeah. Go on.
They will revere my name and revere the Holy One of Jacob. And the God of Israel they will dread. Those wandering in spirit will know intelligence. The Holy One of Jacob, the God of Israel, stands for the Lord. The sons stand for regenerate people who will regain an intelligent understanding of goodness and truth, as these words also explain in the same author. Sing, infertile woman, she had not given birth, because the sons of the desolate one are more numerous than sons of the married one. The sons of the desolate one stand for the truth known to the early church, the church among non-Jews, and the sons of the married one for the truth known to the Jewish church. In Jeremiah, my tent was devastated, and all my ropes were torn out. My sons went away from me and were no more. The Son stands for truth in the same author. His sons will be as they once were, and their assembly will be established before me. Here they stand for the truth to the ancient church. In Zechariah, Zechariah,
Zechariah, I think.
Zechariah.
It's the name of prophet.
Zechariah.
Zechariah.
I will stir up your sons, Zion, along with your sons. Javan?
Javan.
And
Mhm.
Javan.
Maybe Javan. Maybe Javan.
Oh yeah. And I will make you like the sword of a mighty man. Here they stand for truth from a loving faith. The word frequently uses a daughter to stand for good, as in David. Daughters of kings are among your valued friends. The queen stands at your right hand in of pierced best gold. The daughter of fire is among your tribute. All glorious is the king's daughter within the palace. Her clothing is made of gold eyelet,
Hi.
eyelet
Hello.
in place of forebears will be your son.
For bears.
You can sing
What is it?
blackface. You can sing blackface.
Forebears.
For bears. Like for father.
Hi everyone.
Hello. We
Dadox,
are
andiamo
reading the book.
TC3, Dadox, TC3.
Okay.
Can you be silent here because we are reading the book?
Yes, I'm
Grazie.
sorry.
Be quiet. Quiet. Because if you want to read, you can read next section in a
Yes,
turn.
È pieno.
I'm sorry.
Lo so.
Be still. Okay, go on.
The goodness and beauty of
Redrox
love and
DC6.
grace are being portrayed by a daughter here. That is why churches are called daughters, because of the good in them. The terms daughter of Zion and daughter of Jerusalem, for instance, are used in Isaiah 37:22 and in many other places. Churches are also referred to as the daughter of my people, the daughter of Tarshish, the daughter of Sidon, and daughters in the field. Daughters and sons symbolize the same thing in verses 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 26, and 30 of this chapter. The nature of the particular church determines the nature of the sons and daughters, or goodness and truth. Here they are the distinct truth and forms of goodness that those people perceive because these sons and daughters are mentioned in reference to the earliest church, the first ancestor of all the others and followed.
If you are not tired, you can read next maybe, or maybe someone wants to read too. I'm not sure. Yeah, can you continue because it was short like this? Because I was reading a lot before.
Okay. Genesis 5:5. And all the days that the human lived were 930 years, and he died. Days and years here, as before, symbolize those times and states. He died means that such perception ceased to exist. There is no need for me to linger any further over the symbolism of days and years, or those times and states. I must only say here that in the world, the necessity for periods of time and units of measure, expressed in numbers, is unavoidable since they are among the most concrete features of the natural world. But every time such terms are used, the number of days and years and the numbers used in measurement symbolize something abstracted from time and measure. Just what is being symbolized depends on what the number is. This is true of the 6 days, labor, and holy seventh day discussed above. It is true of the Jubilee that was proclaimed in the 49th year of every cycle and celebrated in the 50th. It is true of the 12 tribes.
50th, yeah, 50th, like 50.
50th.
50th.
50th. 50th.
50th.
50th.
It is true of the 12 tribes of Israel, matching the number of the Lord's apostles, of the 70 elders, and the equal number of the Lord's disciples, and of many other phenomena. The numbers in these places symbolize some special quality, as distinguished from the objects to which they apply. Once the qualities are isolated, their various states are what the numbers symbolize.
Isolated or isolated? Isolated, yeah. Yeah.
Isolated.
Isolated. Isolated.
Isolated.
You're correct. Isolated.
The meaning of he died as the fact that such perception ceased to exist is clear from the symbolism of the word die as applying to everything that ceases to be what it was. In John, for example, to the angel of the church in Sardis write, these words says, he who has the seven spirits and the seven stars, I know your works, that you are said to live, but are dead. Be watchful and strengthen what is left, which is close to death, because I have not found your works perfect before God. In Jeremiah, I will expel your mother who bore you to another.
Expel. What is it?
Expel is like
Expel.
Deportation. Like
throw out.
throughout. Exclude. Expel.
Expel.
Bore you to another.
Land where you were not born, and there you will die. The mother stands for the church. The nature of a church, as explained already, is that it tends to dwindle. Is it right? Dwindle?
Dwindle. Let's see.
Dwindle.
Yeah, dwindle. Like degenerate.
Degenerate.
Degenerate. Degradate like this. Degrade. How to say degenerate and degrade. Degrade. This word.
Degrade.
Degrade.
Dwindle and deteriorate, and its initial integrity dissolves. The main reason is that hereditary evil increases, since all parents and new evil to what they inherit.
And deteriorate like degrade too, I think. Yeah, degrade.
Deteriorate.
Deteriorate, degrade, degenerate. And dissolves like disappear. Yeah,
Dissolves.
dissolves like vanish. What they inherited.
Inherited every bad thing that parents actually do appears to be second nature. And when they do it repeatedly, second nature does it in fact come and adds itself to their heredity and transplanted into their children in ensuing generations. In this way, Hereditary evil grows enormous in later g- generations, as anyone can recognize from seeing children with a bad character that is just like that of their parents and grandparents.
Hmm. Yeah. Children can have bad character from grandparents. But if the parents are good, but maybe grandparents were bad. Hmm. It's interesting. And this word, like, 1 second.
Enormous. Can we check the word enormous?
Yeah, enormous. I wanted to see it. Enormous. Yeah. Hmm. Ah,
Enormous.
it's like, yeah, huge, large, enormous.
Enormous.
And monstrous. Monstrous.
Monstrous.
Monstrous. Hereditary. Hereditary evil.
Hereditary.
Heredit, hereditary.
Hereditary.
Hereditary or hereditary. Yeah, transcription is like hereditary, but she says like hereditary.
Hereditary.
Hereditary. In this way.
Hereditary.
Repeatedly. 1 second. Enormous. Yeah, enormous. Okay. Mhm.
Some very wrongly believe there is no inherited evil aside from that which they say Adam passed on. The truth is that we all create an evil inheritance by actually committing sin, and this we add to what we have acquired from our parents. So we amass a legacy that endures through all the generations and is never softened, except in those whom the Lord regenerates. This is the main reason.
Mhm. So we amass.
Amass.
It's like collect, mass. Mhm. It's a verb. So we amass a legacy that endures. Amass a legacy. I forgot this word, legacy.
Legacy.
Inheritance. Heritage.
Heritage.
Heritage. Legacy. Mhm. This is the main reason.
Every church degenerates. The same was true for the earliest church. No one can see in what way the earliest church won without knowing what perception is.
One, waned. Wane.
Waned.
Waned. Like weaken. Fade away, fade. Extinguish. Weaken.
Weaken.
Weaken. Like to be weak. Waned. Wane. Waned. It's without D.
Waned.
But she like waned, but transcription like Wayne. Wayne, like, yeah, Wayne is the Wayne and waned. Mhm. Wayne is noun, but waned is like adjective. Waned. Church waned. There is church waned, but in this sense, it's the verb. Verb. Waned.
Vain without knowing what perception is, since that church was perceptive in a way that none today is. A church perception consists in a gift from the Lord for perceiving good and truth as the angels do. The good and the truth perceive are not so much those of public life as those having to do with love for the Lord and faith in Him. What we profess to believe, as confirmed by the way we live, indicates what kind of perception we have and whether we have any at all.
Okay. Thank you. Genesis 5:6. And Seth lived 105 years and fathered Enosh. Seth, as noted, is a second church, a less heavenly church than the earliest that gave it birth, but still one of the primeval churches.
Primeval.
Primeval, like original. Primeval churches. He lived 105 years, symbolizes those times and states, as already explained, he fathered Enosh means that another church called Enosh descended from the previous ones. Seth's identity as a second church, a less heavenly church than the earliest that gave it birth, but still one of the primeval churches, is established by the things said about him above at verse 3. The situation with churches, as has also been mentioned, is that little by little, as time passes, their essential qualities diminish. The chief reason for this also appears above. The meaning of he fathered Enosh as the fact that another church called Enosh descended from the previous ones can be seen from the fact that the names in the current chapter just symbolize churches. Genesis 5, 7, 8. And after Seth gathered Enosh, he lived 807 years, and he fathered son and daughters. And all Seth's days were 912 years, and he died. The days are numbers of years symbolize those times and states here as before. Sons and daughters have the same symbolism as before, and so does he died. Genesis 5:9. And Enosh lived 90 years and fathered Kenan. Enosh, as noted, symbolizes a third church, one still less heavenly than the church set by still one of the primeval churches. Kenan symbolizes a fourth church that came after the others. The churches succeeding one another over time, each described as giving birth to the next operated much as fruits do or as the seeds do. The truth within the fruit or seed within the seed is, so to speak, is at the center, deep inside, and each layer of fruit or seed receives life from the layer before it in order. The farther out you go toward the surface, the less there is of the fruits or the seed's essence, until finally there is only a skin or covering where the fruit or seed ends. The brain follows the same pattern. Brain follows the same pattern. Inside it is a fine organic network called the cortical substances. These substances provide a starting point and medium for the soul separations. Following in order from them come fine coverings, then denser ones, and at last the ones that overlie all of the brain, called the meanings. These are bounded by even more inclusive layers, and in the end by the one that envelops the whole, which is the skull. These three churches, the human, Seth, and Enosh, constitute the earliest church, although there were differences in how perfectly each of the three perceived things. The first churches perceptively lessened
Lessened.
It's like reduce, lessened. In all the ensuing churches.
Ensuing.
Following. Ensuing churches, and became more general, as just described in regard to the fruit of or seed or the brain. Perfection consists in the ability to perceive minute
Minute.
perceive minute distinction. What does it mean at all? It's like minute.
The ability to perceive minute distinctions.
Minute. Minute. Maybe minute. Perfection consists in the ability to perceive minute distinction, and this perfection decreases when the ability is not so refined but more general. A dimmer kind of perception then takes the place of the clearer kind, and in this way perception begins to disappear. The earliest church's perceptive ability was not restricted to an awareness of what was good and true, but included happiness and joy in doing good. Without happiness and joy in doing good, perception is not alive. From that happiness and joy it lives. It lives. The living quality of love and of the faith that comes from love, such as it was in the earliest church, is a quality we have when we are being useful, or when we adopt the goodness and truth that come from useful activity. Usefulness is the source from which, the means by which, and the measure according to which the Lord gives us life. Nothing useless can have any life in it, because anything that is useless is rejected. In this, the earliest people were likeness or of the Lord. Consequently, in their perceptive abilities, they became images of Him. To be perceptive is to recognize what is good and true, and so what is appropriate to faith. One who is under the influence of love is not satisfied with just knowing what is good and true, but wants to do it. That is to be useful. Who wants to read next?
No one, I'd read. Genesis 5, 10, 11. And after Enosh fathered Canaan, he lived 815 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and all Enosh days were 905 years, and he died. Again, the days and numbers of years, the sons and daughters, and the death symbolize what they did before. Enosh, as noted, is the third church, one of the primeval ones, but less heavenly, as a result less perceptive than the church Seth, which in turn was not as heavenly and perceptive as the church that gave it birth, called the human. These three are the churches that constitute the earliest church. They are like the pith of a fruit or the germ of a seed. In relation to the churches that followed, these later churches resemble the outer layer of a fruit or seed by comparison. Genesis 5:12. And Canaan lived 70 years and fathered Mahala Mahala
إحلالة.
Mahalalel. Listen, Kenan
Mihlam.
symbolized what?
Sorry.
So loudly. Your mic is so loudly.
You already
It's
knew.
like maybe. Mhm.
Who's going to read next?
Do you want to read next?
Yeah, of course. Okay. The Karsh called Kenan must not be counted as belong with the. Am I so loud?
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I mean,
as belonging with the three more perfect ones, because it in its time the more distinct perception of the earlier. What's the word?
churches.
Churches. Okay, I didn't see it. Sorry. Began to become more general. It was like the first, somewhat soft layer of a fruit or seed next to the pit of or gram. Condition in this church are not described admittedly, but can be seen from the later verses from the description of the churches named Ansh, isn't it? And Noah. Enoch. Okay, Enoch and Noah. For example, that's it. Okay, Genesis and after Canaan father Mahalal. He lived 840 years, and his fathered sons and daughters, and all Canaan's days were 910 years. What? 910 years. And he died. The days and the number of years functions as previously described. Sons and daughter here as before symbolize the truth and goodness they perceived. Although they perceived it in more general way, Canaan's death likewise means that perception, case it, isn't it? Case it to be what it had been. Case it, isn't it?
Case, maybe. Let's see.
Or case it.
No.
Ceased.
Ceased. Okay.
It's like stop,
Ceased.
disappear. Mm-hmm.
I got you. It's silent. Ceased. Okay, ceased to be what it had been. I need to observe only that all of these in relation of the church states. Church state. Should I stop?
Someone was saying something. Sorry. What are you saying? Who wants to read next? Genesis 5:15, maybe.
Who want to read? Come on.
You can continue if you can.
Okay. If you can. Yahan, you want to read?
Okay, I read.
Okay, go ahead.
Genesis 5:15. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and fathered Jared. Mahalal, as a noted, symbolizes the fifth church. Jared symbolizes the sixth. Since perception faded, and from being rather acute and distinct, became more general and obscure. The vitality of love and useful activity waned too. The strength of the living force in love and usefulness determines the strength or of
It sounds like your microphone is far from you. It's
Okay.
not understandable.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
To recognize truth on the basis of goodness is a heavenly trait. In addition, the vital is it vital?
Vital. In addition, the vital, and I see it vitality. It's like the same word, yeah, vitality and vital.
Vitality.
Vitality, like energy, life force, vital energy. Yeah, vitality and vital, the same thing. The vital force.
The vital force in those who made up the church called Mahalal what was such that they preferred the pleasure gathered no
Gained.
gained from truth to the deep satisfaction gained from being useful. This I learned through experience with their kind in the next life. Shall I continue?
Yeah, go on.
Genesis 5:16-17. And after Mahalal fathered Jared, he lived 830 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and all. Mahalal's days were 895 years, and he died. The meanings here are the same as for parallel verses above. Genesis.
Yeah, you can read because it's like short verses because it's like the same words. Okay, go on.
Genesis 5:18. And Jared lived 162 years and fathered Enoch. Jared, as noted, symbolizes the sixth church. Enoch symbolizes the seventh. Nothing is said about the church called Jared either, but its nature can seen from the church Mahalal before it and the church Enoch after. It is halfway between them. Genesis
Go on.
5:19-20. And after Jared fathered Enoch, he lived 800 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and all Jared's days were 962 years, and he died. The meanings again are the same as those mentioned above. Anyone can see that their ages did not really extend as far as 962 years in Jared's case and 969 in Methuselah's. The same thing can also be seen from the points that will be made at verse 3 of the next chapter. By the Lord's divine mercy, where the text says, their days will be 120 years. The number of years then does not mean the lifetime of any individual, but the times and states of the church. Genesis 5:21. And Enoch lived 65 years and fathered Methuselah. Enoch, as mentioned, symbolizes the seventh church, and Methuselah symbolizes the eighth church. What the church Enoch was like will be described immediately below. Others might want to read.
It's a big verse. Yeah. Who is going to read? Who wants to read this? Okay, I will read. And after Enoch fathered Methuselah, he walked with God 300 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. Walking with God symbolizes the doctrine concerning faith. He fathered sons and daughters symbolizes doctrinal teachings about truth and goodness. They were at that time people who developed a theology out of the things perceived by the earliest church and the churches that followed. They designed it to serve as a standard by which everyone could judge what was good and true. The people who did this were called Enoch, and what they did was symbolized by the words, and Enoch walked with God. They also used the name for the theology or set of teachings itself, which is what the name Enoch teach means. Additional evidence for this signification
Signification.
like meaning, signification, is the symbolism of the word walk and the fact that he is said to have walked with God, not with Jehovah. Walking with God is teaching the doctrine concerning faith and living by it, while walking with Jehovah is living a life of love. Walk is a figure of speech for living.
Is this bro?
And such. Sorry, what?
Sorry. Okay. Okay. So.
Maybe do you want to read?
Oh, sure. I can read. Yes.
Yeah, you can read from item 2. I will finish it.
Okay.
Phrases as walk in the law, walk in the status, and walk in truth. At its most basic level, walking has to do with the path, and the path relates to truth and consequently to faith or to the doctrine concerning faith. Yeah, go ahead from item 2.
Okay. What walking symbolizes in the word can be established to some extent from the following passages. In Micah, he has pointed out to you, friend, what is good, and what is you requiring of you but to carry out the judgment, and the love of mercy, and to be humble walking with your God. Walking with God here to symbolizes living by things pointed out. The expression with God appears, but the same phrase in regard to announce employs a different word. One that can also mean from beside, so it can be ambiguous. In David, you rescued my feet from tripping, to walk before God in the light of the living. Walking before God means walking in religious truth, the light of the living. Likewise in Isaiah.
What is ambiguous? What is it? Let's see.
Ambiguous.
Unclear.
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous.
Yeah, it's like
Ambiguous.
unclear. Ambiguous.
That can also
and,
mean ambiguous. Ambiguous. That can also mean from beside. So it is ambiguous in David's. I can read, bro. Tripping.
Yeah, and what is tripping?
Okay.
Yeah,
Tripping.
tripping like disconnection.
Yes.
Breaking, shut down. Tripping. Next page.
The people walking in darkness now see great light. The Lord says in Moses, I will walk in your midst and become your God, and you will become my people. This stands for the idea that they will live according to the teachings of the law. In Jeremiah, they will spread them out to the sun and to the moon and to the armies of the heavens. Those are they loved and that they served and that they walked after and that they saw.
They thought Like sick, a sick thought, yeah.
Thought,
It's
yes.
like, yeah, it's like sick and thought, like past tense.
Sort.
Thought, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my last page. A clear distinction is being made here between the activity of law and the activity of faith. That of law is loving and serving. That of faith is walking and seeking. The prophets pay close attention to words and never replace one word with another. Walking with or before Jehovah, on the other hand, when it comes up in the word, means living a life of love. You can
Who
continue,
wants
bro.
to read next? Who wants to read next? Genesis 5:23-24. Is it big?
Why you are reading Bible, bro?
Yeah. It's not Bible. It's the book of Swedenborg. It's Secrets of Heaven by Manuel Swedenborg. It's about spiritual meaning of Bible. Actually, it's like about mind, maybe. And
You are Russian, right?
universe. I know Russian language,
So
but
where are you
I
from?
don't say where I'm from because I don't understand what does it mean.
No, I just asking where are you from?
Yeah, I say I don't say about it actually because I don't understand this question because I don't believe in countries and borders.
Yes, but you know it is a classic question. You know, you can just say where you live in. Actually, yeah, I can ask you where you live.
I asking about country. I said I don't believe in countries. Is that because I cannot answer on the question? Because your question is like I don't understand the meaning of your question because people are asking this question, but I cannot say where I'm from. Actually, in the sense.
Okay, I got.
That because I read books of Swedenborg, and you know Swedenborg's books are about inner meaning of everything. That because I cannot answer on such questions because we live in virtual reality, and virtual reality. Well, I believe in virtual reality, like spiritual world, but physical world is like illusion. That because I cannot say about it.
Okay.
It depends from state of mind. Because it doesn't matter where we are here, yeah, because we are within virtual world. And if you are asking about countries, like we should explain what countries mean. What does it mean? Country, like Russia or like USA or like Chinese. What is it?
In our real world, we named some borders, and we just made some borders, and we named the countries like Turkey, Russia, America, and they are just a name. Actually, they are just and they are just a borders.
But it's not relevant. It's not relevant to speak about it in here. You know, like what do you gain from knowing where he's specifically from, like the geographically? Like what do you gain from that? Like what do you gain from him telling you he's from Sweden or Russia or some other place? Like, well, what do you gain at the end?
I don't gain anything from it. It's just a question.
So it's irrelevant. He told you he speaks the Russian language. That's it. Like, if that's what's interesting.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about
I
myself.
get this.
I don't like to talk about my nationality and about my location. Actually, it's because we are in internet. Yeah, it's like the world of information, like virtual reality, and that because flesh counts for nothing. Only spirit gives life. Flesh counts for nothing. It's nothing. It's illusion, actually. In this sense, that because. Maybe we can talk about what is your state of mind Yeah, it's better to explain in this sense. where are you right now? Yeah, like your state of mind. Because I can be physically in space, for example. Yeah, but my state of mind. What does it mean? Yeah, if I live in space, like on Mars or
It's really cool,
underground,
bro.
yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Actually, living in the Mars is not nothing, bro. It's cool, by the way.
Actually, we are in Discord, yeah, in this room,
Yes.
like spiritual room. And do you see, we are far from each other by our physical bodies, but by our minds, we are in the one room. What does it mean? Yeah, we are here. We are gathered together.
We can chat
And
together.
what does it
We
mean?
can understand each other. We can talk
Yeah.
about something, but physically, we are not together.
Yeah, because physical world has spaces and time, but spiritual world, like Discord, because Discord is a world of information. It doesn't belong to time and space. Yeah, because we are here in this room by our minds, because it means that we are outside of time and the space. Yeah,
I
where
don't
we are
think
right
so.
now.
Actually, we are we are in time, but yes, we are not together physically, but we are currently we still in the time. We are using our minds. We speak, but the time passed, and so we are in it.
What is more real, virtual life or real life? What is more real? Is it real life right now where we are? Where we are? Is it real
I think
life
we
or
are
not?
still in real life because I feel alive and I can
No,
feel
it's an instance.
and I can
We're in
think.
It's an instance of real life, but it's not. It's not real because you created this instant by joining. You created this environment on your own. You know.
So what's my real thing? So what is the real life?
He can
I
explain.
think virtual life is more real life than real life, in my understanding, because we are free here. I mean, we are ourselves here because we are incognito here. Yeah. And if I am incognito, it means I am free. I can say what I want to say, yeah, because I am free. Yeah. But in real life, you cannot be free. It means that virtual life is more real life because you are yourself here. It is you yourself. But in real world, you are not free because you use like a mask on your face because of fear. You don't want people to recognize you. But here in virtual life, we are free. Yeah.
Yes.
Because and in my understanding, it's more real life because it is yourself. And actually, your mind is here in this channel. This, and to me, it means a spiritual world because we can say that virtual life is a spiritual world, like the world of information, and this world has no distance because it's like a state of mind. It's about mind. It's not about brain. But if you are asking me about my physical body, I think my physical body counts for nothing. It's like a piece of ground. It's illusion. What is it? It's because spiritual world is a cause, but physical world is an effect. And if you're asking me about effect, about flesh, I cannot answer on this question because I want to concentrate your mind on spiritual things, what is above, but you concentrate your mind on physical things. I think it's false concentration like this to explain my state of mind. Actually, it's from these books we read. Maybe You want to read next, and we can understand what does it mean.
Oh, thank you. I'm
Genesis
cool.
5.
I need to go, but you can continue reading.
Mm-hmm.
So nice to meet
Who
you.
wants to continue? Mm-hmm. Thank you for reading. Who wants to continue? Genesis 5, 23, 24, maybe.
Okay. I read.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I think we can finish this this chapter, but it's big. Yeah, maybe. maybe
Maybe we can finish it if.
Yeah, I think so. We can continue this this tomorrow
I still have energy,
if
so let's continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it is short, but it is big. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Bye. See you.
See you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All
See
right,
you.
take care. All right, bye. I'm just gonna go to the art channel.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to talk.
Again.